so good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Pull up a chair. This is Wonder and Wander. Alright, so you know the drill by now. Let's just slow down a second before we get into anything. Whatever today was, whether it was work, stress, a long drive, a hard conversation, you made it here. That counts for something. So, how are you doing? Honestly. Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? And tell me this. When you look at where you are right now, does it feel like enough? Or does a part of you feel like you should be somewhere else by now? Yeah, hold on to that answer. It's going to be relevant tonight during our conversation. I remember when social media was just getting started. This was years ago now. I'd be scrolling through and seeing guys I went to school with. Guys that I grew up around. And they seemed to be off doing these remarkable things. Building careers, starting families, accomplishing things that I could point to. I remember sitting there feeling this low-grade discouragement. I didn't really have a name for it at the time. Because when I looked at my own life, at that point, I couldn't find those same markers. I didn't feel like I'd done much. I really didn't feel like I was making much of a difference at all. I wasn't in crisis at the time. I was just quietly, persistently convinced that I was behind. I don't think I'm alone with that either. I think a lot of men carry some version of that, somewhere along their story. That one that says, even if you never actually say it out loud, I should be farther along by now. You look around and it seems like everyone else is hitting their marks. They've got the career, the stability, the relationship, the thing that signals, this guy has it all together. He's a somebody. And somehow that invisible scoreboard is always being updated. Sometimes you feel like you're always falling a little short. That comparison doesn't even have to be intentional. It just kind of happens. You open your phone, or you're at a family gathering. You run into an old classmate or a friend. And suddenly, it's off to the races. The measuring starts. So let me ask you something. I want you to actually go there. When have you felt like you've been falling behind in life? I want it to actually be something specific, not something general. Go ahead and go there. Yeah, that feeling is real. And you're not the only one who's felt it. We live in a world that runs on timelines. And I don't mean like the social media kind. I mean the deeper ones. The ones we absorb growing up without even really realizing it. You have to finish school by this age. At that point, you start your career. You settle down. You buy a house. You have kids. You've got it all figured out. There's this unspoken escalator that most of us got on. We didn't realize it. We assumed everyone was just supposed to ride, and that we were all going at the same speed. But the truth is, life doesn't follow a script. Never really did. Every man's path is different. the timelines we measure ourselves by, they're often borrowed from somebody else's story entirely. Some men find their footing early, and they might lose it later. Some spend years wandering, and then something clicks. Some build the conventional life, realize that it doesn't fit. They don't like it. So they start over with something new in their 40s, maybe their 50s or 60s. They find something truer than anything they had before. The timeline doesn't account for any of that. It just keeps ticking. And if you let it, it'll let you feel late for your entire life. So I want to ask you something. What's one timeline that you've felt pressured by? It's okay to name it. I think we all have something. I think it's actually necessary to name, to question whether that timeline was ever really yours to begin with. I've been a counselor for a while now. And one of the things that I hear underneath a lot of what men bring into a session, underneath the stress, the frustration, those feelings of being stuck, it's this. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Not just the practical stuff, the whole thing, life. And part of what makes that hard is that most of us are measuring right against a standard that we never chose. We just inherited it. So what if we measured differently? What if success wasn't about hitting the milestones on somebody else's chart, but about becoming more of who you actually are? I think about men that I've known who, by conventional scoreboard, they look like they were behind. They hadn't climbed the ladder fast enough. They hadn't checked all the boxes in time. But when you actually sat with them and listened how they talked about their kids, or about what they'd been through, or what they'd learned to stop running from, you realize that they'd grown in ways that the scoreboard doesn't measure. And that growth was real. It counted. And it was worth something. So let me ask you this. What's the one way that you've grown that you're proud of? Even if it doesn't show up on any timeline. Let yourself land on something real. That growth matters. And frankly, it's probably worth more than you're giving yourself credit for. There's a lie most of us were taught somewhere along the way. That life doesn't follow a schedule. That success has a deadline. That meaning has a timetable. The sneaky thing about that lie is that it doesn't announce itself. It just quietly shapes how you see yourself, how you see others, how you talk about yourself at the end of a long day, how you size up yourself when you're lying awake at midnight. It makes comparison feel like clarity, like you're just being honest about where you stand. But comparison isn't clarity. It's a noise that most of us can't calibrate our actual lives to. No two roads are the same. Some men climb early. Some wander longer. Some build slowly. And some start again more than once. Every one of those roads still counts. Every one of them could lead somewhere worth going. they all matter. I think about some of the most grounded, most genuinely alive men that I've met. A lot of them got there late. By the conventional timeline, anyway. They went through seasons that looked like failure from the outside. Seasons of wandering, of starting over, of not having answers. And something in those seasons formed them in a way that Fast Track never could have. So let me ask you a couple things before we close. Whose timeline have you actually been measuring yourself against? Let that be honest, even if the answer is uncomfortable. And now, what season of life do you think you're actually in right now? Are you building something? Figuring out what to build? Maybe you're healing from something? Or still in the middle of it? Are you starting over? Or slowly learning what starting over even means? Are you letting go of something? Or maybe you're learning to grieve it first. There's no shame in any of those seasons. They're all part of it. They're all an option. So here's what I want to leave you with tonight. You are not behind. You're on a road that is yours. And it's always been yours. And the only timeline that really matters is the one that keeps you becoming. One step at a time. One season at a time. Give yourself that. Not as a consolation prize, but as a real thing. You're not running late. You're running your race. All right, fires burn low. Carry what you need and leave what you don't. You don't have to have it all figured out. None of us do. Myself included. It's been good to be with you. Let's do it again soon, all right? Okay, I'll see you next time. Safe travels. That's all for today. Wonder and Wander is written and hosted by me, Mat Wuebben. Original music composed and performed by Calvin Armerding. If this episode meant something to you, think of one man who needs to hear it and send it to him. And if you haven't yet, leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts helps more men find their way to the fire. New episodes every Wednesday. Wander boldly, wander freely.